Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand. Absolutely unbelievable scenes this transfer deadline day. Christian Eriksen will miss most of the rest of the season, will not be back until late April, early May with the ankle injury he sustained at the weekend against Reading from that terrible tackle by Andy Carroll. But look, we can't live in the past, we've got to live in the now. What do Manchester United do? We've just had Erik Ten Hag's press conference reaction coming in here and it didn't sound like there's a plan. And I think you've just got to, I think maybe those people who are going, well, there's a light at the end of the tunnel, the Glazers will be gone soon. They're still here. They're still here and they are still massively messing up what is a great football club. We're still in January, right? We're still in January. We've got to play loads of games in February, loads of games in March, loads of games in April, loads of games in May. 4 full months of loads of games. In January, we've lost Van der Beek for the season. We've lost Eriksen for most of the season. Dalot has got injured again and Marcel has got injured again. That is 4 players out in January. What's going to happen in February, March, April and May? It's just the beginning of the inevitable. When you play a season that starts at the start of August and finishes at the end of May with a World Cup in the middle of it, you are going to get injuries. If you do not prepare, if you fail to prepare, you prepare to fail. It's as simple as that. And that's what Manchester United have done. The minute that Martial got injured again, the minute that Donny van der Beek was out for the season, the minute that Dalot got injured again, light bulbs should have been, Manchester should have just been lit up from light bulbs in the board's head. We need to do some business here. And it's this same old thing that I think has riddled the Glazer ownership of Manchester United. And I call it the management style, bury your head up your arse. Because that's just what they seem to do. If we remember when Solskjaer got beat by Man City and Leicester and Liverpool and we had the international break and everyone thought he was going to get sacked and United just went quiet for 2 weeks. They all went and hid. And then he lost to Watford and they had to sack him. That has been the sort of hallmark of the Glazers. When there's a big problem, let's run away. That's what they seem to do. I just can't stand it. I just can't wait for them to be gone. And hopefully they take some of these prats that are running the club as well on a day-to-day basis, because I have got no sympathy for John Murtagh or Richard Arnold or anyone else who's in a position of power who goes, well, we couldn't do anything because of the Glazers. You can do things. Bang on the bloody door. Leak stuff out to the press. There's loads you could do, but you toe the party line. I mean, look, the big picture is, apparently we've been offered Carrasco from Atletico Madrid. I'm not surprised. This morning, Rafinha. Now it's Carrasco. There will be more and maybe we'll bite on the bait. Maybe we will be gullible and bite it. But it matters not anymore. What does matter is the plan was never in place. Going and getting someone now is exactly what we didn't want. It's just pure panic, desperation. And I'll say it again. Fail to prepare, prepare to fail. You can't just be going, oh, Eriksen's out for 3 months. Let's get what we can in the last few hours. It's been open for 31 days. The preparation has killed us. We might pull a gem out in the last few hours, but really, and people will get excited about it. People got excited about Agallo. But look what happened. There is no plan. It is just pure panic stations again. And they've known since Saturday Eriksen's going to be out for a while. Anybody who saw that tackle was like, well, I said it, minimum 2 weeks if we're lucky. It was always a bad tackle. It was always going to be a bad injury. So they've known since Saturday. And it's now Tuesday, and they're going, they've known Eriksen's out for, we found out now in the last hour, they've known for at least 2 days that he's out for a long, long time, and they've still not done anything. So, look, maybe we are going to do something. I think we certainly have to do something. But, listening to Ten Hag, and we'll go through some of his comments now, it's just, he knows he's just got to get on with what he's got. And if something produces itself in the next few hours, it produces itself, but it's panic, isn't it? And like I say, if we did get Carrasco or we did get God knows who, I'm sure there'd be fans who always find the positive and go, oh yeah, this is an exciting deal. Well, it may well be an exciting deal if it happens, but it's just what frustrates me and a lot of fans is is the way the club is run. Even if we bring somebody in now, why didn't you plan to do that ages ago? Why does it take complete and utter carnage for you to act, and then you're acting in a window that's just desperate now? And there's no guarantee that we'll do anything anyway. I mean, we have to do something. You cannot lose Eriksen and Donny. You can't use... they are creative midfielders. I know Eriksen plays a bit deeper and Donny can play a bit deeper, but they are also creative. Casemiro is defensive. Obviously, he's world-class, so he can be creative. Fred is not really creative, although he can do it a little bit. And McTominay's not really that. Eriksen and Donny are more creative, and we've lost that in the midfield now. So Bruno becomes absolutely essential. Absolutely gutting, Mark, says Kieran. There seems like really good solutions with McKennie on loan, but club to adverse risking Ten Hag will work a miracle, says Kieran. Yeah, look, options have gone. Options have gone. But look, the breaking news is that Christian Eriksen will be out for most of the season now. Late April, early May. Obviously, the season ends at the end of May, but that's a significant injury. And you know what? Can I just take a moment for Christian Eriksen? Because I think he's been a fantastic signing for us. I think he started the season off really good. I think lately he has looked tired, and many of us have commented on that. You will get some people saying he never should have been playing in that game, but even if he came on for 10 minutes, Carroll could have caught him anyway. I don't think that's an injury on fatigue. And also, what's really disappointing is that if you look at Eriksen's injury history, and he's 30 now, he's never picked up an injury like this. I don't think he's ever had an injury that's kept him out for 3 months, apart from his heart condition. So, it's dreadful bad luck for him, and it's dreadful bad luck for Manchester United. And remember, this is a player now that's going to miss the Carabao Cup final, the Barcelona games. He hasn't got loads of trophies, Eriksen, because he played for Spurs. So he's going to miss out on those opportunities now. And it's he's not a player that picks up those sort of injuries. And to be honest with you, I don't think there's many players in world football that don't pick up that injury. The tackle was horrific. He's scissor tackled him. It's a disgusting tackle. I think the Donny one was horrible, but that was a slip. Carroll, that was deliberate. It was a disgusting tackle. And that referee, well, I hope tonight he's having a little think, and he maybe has a pint of Horlicks to help him sleep, because you shouldn't be sleeping tonight, referee, because that was a shit decision. It was a horrible tackle, and I don't know how you haven't figured that out. He's wrapped his leg around him, launched himself off the ground. He's a big bloke. It was a disgusting tackle, and I don't think any player, no matter what your injury record is on transfer market, I don't think many players aren't going to be out for 2 or 3 months. It was a horrible tackle. Exactly what he was doing. And we've lost a player now, but that doesn't help. But anyone, I've played the game. You've watched the game. You've played the game. You could see that tackle was horrific. He's wrapped 2 legs around him. Disgusting tackle. The messed up approach was evidence once Ronaldo's contract was terminated, says Mojo. These idiots had 45 days to find Ronaldo's replacement, but did nothing. It's a good point about Ronaldo, Mojo. Actually, the replacement for Ronaldo is about Weghorst. I mean, I like Weghorst, but I know what you're getting at. We'll have to look at the under-23s, says Mikael Roach. All joking aside, I wouldn't be surprised if the bird turned around to Ten Hag and told him to change formation. Well, we'll talk about that, Philip. Carroll could have taken out Eriksen and Casemiro in one game. Makes you wonder what his motives were, says John. Just disgusting. The referee had no control of that game. Carroll went and did 2 bad tackles after that before he got sent off. Maybe it's time to bring Hannibal back from Birmingham, says Darren. Yeah, but you know what? It's a lot of pressure. And Erik Ten Hag was asked about this, how do you fill that gap? And he said, well, look, we've got players to fill the gap. But then he was asked how you fill the gap. And he said, well, look, every player has different qualities. And Christian Eriksen had his own different qualities. But, Fred and Casemiro, we've got that. Obviously we've got Scott McTominay. But I think Erik Ten Hag has laid down the line there. He's fully aware of what you're aware of. Eriksen was the only player in that midfield that can link the attack and defence. Casemiro is the conductor. Eriksen was the person that had the creativity to feed the Bruno and Rashfords in a more creative way. We will have to play a different brand of football now, because we do not have somebody that... look, all the best to Scott McTominay, all the best to Fred, all the best to Mainu, all the best to whatever solution we have. But if it was so easy to replace Christian Eriksen, we wouldn't need him in the first place. This is why people spend big money on good players, because they're good players. Christian Eriksen is the only one in that team that has the ability to link the attack and the midfield as in the way that he does. His role is a bit unsung, and some people think he has an average game, and actually he'll have played loads of passes where he's linking the midfield and the attack in a very unglamorous way. So I think we'll have to play a different brand of football. And I do like Casemiro and Fred, and Erik ten Hag did name check them, and I do think they work well together. But again, the problem is we're playing 90-minute matches every 3.5 days. You cannot play Casemiro and Fred every game. They will pick up yellow cards, they will pick up suspensions. Hopefully they won't pick up injury, they will get tired. It's beyond that. We have 3 midfield spots and we have 4 players. We have Bruno, McTominay, Casemiro and Fred, and we play with the midfield 3. Our best midfield 3 is Casemiro, Eriksen and Bruno. We now have McTominay, Fred, Bruno and Casemiro. 4 players for 3 positions to play 3.5 days every 3.5 days. It just doesn't work. Somehow there has to be a solution. Mainu is the only real youngster and he's only just at the start of the journey. So it simply doesn't work. Something has to change. Like, you have to turn somebody into something else. You have to promote somebody beyond where you'd want to. You have to bring people in. I think they have to bring somebody in. I'll be amazed if tonight, when I'm doing the 8 o'clock show, we're not talking about a player that's come in. Because they have to bring somebody in. Like, they know they do. It just doesn't work. Erik can sit there and say, we've got the players to fill the gap, but we don't. We've got 3 starting midfield positions and we've got 4 players. Hi, Mark. The lack of transfers is probably because we're linked with this prospective Italian player. Don't know what that is, Stefan. And did you see the articles about how Richard Arnold is the one who turned United around? Calling it a fluff piece is putting it lightly, says Connor. Well, I saw something today that Richard Arnold is determined to bring Harry Kane in the summer. I'm determined to see Manchester United remove Richard Arnold as the CEO. I don't think he's very good. How can we be putting stories out about who we're going to buy in the summer, and Richard Arnold's determined to bring Harry Kane in the summer? He doesn't even know who the owners are, and he's determined to do something that he might not be able to do. But there is a transfer window right now. Right here, right now. You are the CEO of the club, and there are stories coming about what you're going to do in the summer. Right now, we've got an injury crisis. Right now, our season is on, hanging by a thread, because if we lose players, we can't win anything. And there's stories coming about what you want to do in the summer. This is why some people don't think you're very good at your job. Ow! Damn it! Right on the knee. Exhale. He's got a doll of me. He just stuck something in my knee. Right on the bloody corner again. Ten Hag and all midfield players should get minimum of 7 rating for remaining games, regardless of performance and results. It's disgraceful from the board, says Vinit. And I think Erik ten Hag needs to face reality and give up on a competition. Top 4 or winning Europa is the only thing that matters now. It's going to be very difficult for him, mister. I wouldn't write ten Hag off. I really wouldn't. The situation highlights how bad the football side of the club is run. Any chance of getting Kessie? He's getting no play time at Barcelona. Realistically, what is the chance of replacing Richard Arnold and John Murtagh? Servan, I think they'll be here in the summer. I think the stories that are coming out about Richard Arnold and John Murtagh constantly indicate that they will be here in the summer. There's a real lot of spin around them. Mainu's going to be the new Alanga, overplayed and overpromoted, and people will be hating on him by April, says MT. Well, I hope not. I hope that doesn't happen, of course. But look, I predicted that Erik would have to toe the party line, and really, he was asked about outgoings, and this is what he said. He was asked about transfers, but the question was like this: presuming you're not going to get any incomings, Erik, what about outgoings? He said we could see some outgoings, but it depends on the circumstances. Obviously, that would be a loan. And then he was asked a good question about Chelsea and, what other rivals are doing and what his thoughts are on that. And this is, for me, where my heart dropped a little bit, because this is what I knew would happen today. Erik ten Hag has to toe the party line. The window's about to close. He's got to portray a positive outcome to the players and the fans, and there's no point in falling out with the club. So this is what he had to say about Chelsea. We can't talk about Chelsea. We have our own strategy, and we want to grow and develop in the way that we have done. And we have to, that has to match our own financial situation. We are developing, look at the results, and we want to keep that going. We want to restore Manchester United back to where they are. And for the first time, I think this transfer window, I was like, I've heard all this before. It's just strategy, process, and vision, isn't it? And look, I don't criticise Erik ten Hag for that. It's the first time I think this January transfer window where he has had to, sort of toe the line a little bit. But what is he supposed to do? The window's going to close. He can't keep talking about, I'd like to buy players. If it was up to me, I'd buy players. We should be investing. He's tried all that and it's not worked. So effectively, he's got to spin the positive. He's the manager. I have got no issue with it. It's just sad. It's just sad that it would be bad enough if we hadn't done any good business in January anyway. But what I think most fans are struggling with at this moment in time is we've just lost one of our best players for most of the season. We've lost another player for all of the season. Marcel can't stay fit. And Dalot's had an injury again. Like, we've had the warning signs. They're not even warning signs. That they are, you need to take action, and they still haven't. Can't refs be punished retrospectively? There is absolutely no consistency in Premier League refereeing. It's a joke, says Raza. And how foolish does this decision to sell Garner now look? So we don't plan for new signings, and neither do we have a plan for which players to keep, says Mojo. Yeah, well, look, I think where United go now, hopefully they do something in the next few hours. They need to pull out a miracle. But if they don't, and I think, look, somebody said, are we overreacting a little bit here? And I do want to play devil's advocate and say, it doesn't mean we can't get top four. It doesn't mean we can't win the Carabao Cup. It doesn't mean we can't win the Europa League. And it doesn't mean we can't win the FA Cup. Drew says, I love the channel. Why announce the injury today? Says Drew. I suppose it was because of the press conference and he was going to get asked about it. We can still win 3 trophies and we can still get top 4. It's just the chances of doing them have diminished. You never say never. I would never write Ten Hag off. I think some of the things he's done this season, 1-0 down to City and he turns it around into a win. Arsenal equalise at Old Trafford and we turn it into a win. There is a definite change at United under Ten Hag, and the players have certainly responded to him. And I would not be surprised if a Victor Lindelof came in and had a really important role in one way or another in the team. You see the development of Dalot and Rashford and even Fred. And, I do think that there are players that haven't had a role this season that can still have a role because Ten Hag is so good. But I think the percentages have just dropped. And that when the percentages drop, that allows you to make calculated predictions that we won't get top 4 and win 2 trophies. We'll do well to get top 4 and win a trophy, because the longer the season goes on, see, Eriksen's not coming back in the middle of February. You can get away with it for a couple of weeks. He's not coming back till the end of April. Eriksen's gone for a long time now. And that's the problem. You have to buy somebody, says Akash. So, look, I think that never write Ten Hag off. I think that is a line I think we're going to have to get used to, and it's one that I'm happy with. But the chances of us getting top 4, an FA Cup, a Carabao Cup, and a Europa League are pretty much gone. I don't see how it's possible, really. Sancho could be back tomorrow, Mojo. I think it's the perfect time to bring him back, without a shadow of a doubt. But yeah, I think I certainly, if I was Liverpool and Chelsea, as unlikely as it is, I'd be licking my lips. I would. I'd be licking my lips at this and going, you know what? If we can find some form, there's a very big chance that come late February, March, April, United are going to start struggling. The fatigue is going to kick in. They haven't got the replacements. I mean, we sort of saw it in the first half against Reading as well. That was our best front 6, and we did struggle a little bit. Now, was that fatigue? Was it because we were playing a low block? We did struggle a little bit. We haven't got Ronaldo and Martial up front at the moment. We've got Weghorst. A lot of our goals come from Rashford. But then Sancho comes back. Anthony continues to improve. Casemiro carries on doing what he's doing. Fred steps up to the plate. Yeah, we've got a chance. But then the problem is, you can't expect these players to keep playing every 3.5 days. Where's the rotational? And if Casemiro, Fred and Bruno are now our best midfield 3, which I think they are, how do you rotate those 3 then? It's physically impossible. McTominay plays for Casemiro, but who plays for Fred? Who plays for Bruno? The options are so limited. So Look, there is a story from the Telegraph about United looking at Carrasco. I mean, I've never been a big fan of Carrasco for many reasons. I never understood why a player in their early 20s goes to play in China. I never understood that sort of mentality. So I'd have concerns about a player like that anyway. It might be stereotypical, but it just comes across as a bit odd and greedy to go and do that in your 20s. And for me, Carrasco is a wide player or a winger. I don't really see him as a midfielder. So, but look, Ten Hag's capable of pulling a player out that way. You go, oh, I don't know, and then suddenly they're bloody brilliant. So, look, something has to happen, because what I will say is, and I think we've all got to say this, if United do nothing, they've basically quit on this season again. Not the players, not the manager, not the fans, but the club and the board. They have basically done what they did to Rangnick last year. They've basically gone, we like to do business in the summer. Kieran says, I can't be the only one who almost feels second-hand guilt. I want to apologise to Ten Hag for our incompetent owners. It is poor, Kieran, yeah. Erik Ten Hag trying everything to get the board to listen. He's going to do things like Linda, Martinez, Mainu, CDMs, maybe even pull more from the youth like Palestri, Mebri, Iqbal. Shame for their development, really, says SK. Wants to bring in Kane. I forgot Arnold was the manager. Is your knee okay, Mark? I sadly don't see how we can get top 4. Couple more out and forget top 6, says Gamer. And if we get anything from this season, then give Erik Ten Hag a massive applause. The fact he's fighting with the board with transfers and yet still winning games. He has to work with, says it all, says Luke. And look, you know what? Look at the Premier League table. We're in a good position. Look at our next few Premier League games. Crystal Palace, 2 against Leeds, Leicester. We've got to take... All we can do, all United can do, is what they did in January. We all know the risks and we all know what's to come. But just keep taking it game to game and keep winning. Keep winning, keep winning, keep winning. If we keep winning, we know, I think we all expect at some point we're going to have a bad run. But if we can keep pushing it off closer to the end of May as possible, maybe we can defy the logic, because it is not logical. I believe in the players and I believe in the manager and I believe in the coaching, but I don't believe in what do you call it? Not the physics, the fitness side of it. I don't see how these players can keep performing like they are for the next 4 months with the squad that we have. And I always think that Aston Villa is the biggest blueprint for this. We played on Thursday night with a strong team in Spain. We came back Sunday afternoon. Villa had been off all week. It's at their ground. It didn't matter how well we played. They dominated because they were fresh and up for it. And I just worry about those. I'm calling it now, Mark. Pogba on loan, says Viper. And Gamer says, I mean, look, I said this a couple of weeks ago. I don't think Pogba would come back, and I don't think it's a good idea. But right here, right now, is there any player that you wouldn't? People were talking about Dele Alli this morning. So yeah, look, no. Mark, would you just be happy with top 4 and no trophy with Eriksen out? Let's be real. ABC, I think you might be making a really intelligent observation there. But my big problem with it is, what a waste. Top 4 is not a trophy. We need top 4. We need Champions League football. We need the revenue. We need the status. We don't want to play Thursday night football. I think we'd all pick top 4 over everything. But it pisses me off because we haven't won a trophy for 5 years, and we should win a trophy. We should win a trophy this year from this position. I'm absolutely 100% certain that if Ten Hag had been backed in this window, he would have won at least 2 trophies. I'm 100%, sorry, 1 trophy, possibly 2. People say, well, we can win the Carabao Cup. But by the time the Carabao Cup comes up, I think we've got Forest tonight, we've got Palace, Leeds, Barcelona, Leicester, Barcelona. So we've got 7 games until we play the Carabao Cup final, yeah? We play Barcelona on the Thursday and we play whoever's in the final on the Sunday. Probably Newcastle, who's had a whole week off. That Carabao Cup final in 7 games' time against Newcastle when you've played Barcelona 2.5 nights before. How knackered is that team going to be? And how many more injuries might we have picked up? We already know Eriksen's not playing in that game anyway. So this is what I mean. We're jeopardizing. I spoke to someone a couple of days ago and they were like, we'll get the Carabao Cup one because that's quite soon. And I was like, yeah, but it's 7 games time. We played Barcelona a couple of days, 3 days before it. Who else could be injured? How tired will we be? I don't think there's any guarantee, because Newcastle are a good side if they're in the final, and it's just this, it's the tiredness, it's the fatigue, it's the injuries. I'd love to get Graven back ASAP. I don't think we need to give up on anything. Terp says we need to give up on the Europa League. I don't think we need to give up on anything. I think we will naturally just get beat by somebody at some point. I don't think we're good enough at the moment to just keep winning in these circumstances. You know, Eriksen will be a big loss. You're going to see that in the way we play over the next couple of weeks. You'll notice it. We are going to. I think we will naturally get beat. You know, maybe not Barcelona. You know, we could beat Barcelona. Maybe we will win the Carabao Cup. Maybe we'll beat West Ham and we'll progress in all the tournaments. But at some point, it will catch up with us. It has to. A lot of people saying, what would you do? Well, what you would do and what I would do is not be in this position in the first place. We wouldn't be in this position at 1 o'clock on transfer deadline day trying to buy a player, because we would have sorted it out ages ago. So what I would do or what you do doesn't really matter, because we wouldn't put ourselves in this position in the first place. What the club does, well, let's wait and see. I feel that there is some time. There will be a lot of phone calls going on. But the interesting thing to remember is, what did Ten Hag say in the press conference? We have to live within our financial situation. And I said this morning, and I think most of you know it. Erik Ten Hag has, for the entirety of the last 3 months and January, been putting forward solutions. This player, this player, this player, this player, this player, this player. Oh, you know, cheap, expensive, the lot. He has given a raft of players that United could get in January. And every time, no, we're not spending any money. So for this to change, and it pisses you off, for this to change, the club have got to change their stance and say there is some money available. And then at that point, Erik Ten Hag will go, well, I said about a player 2 weeks ago that we could have got who's better than the one you're going to get now, but you said there was no money. So basically, you're releasing money at the end that you could have released 2 weeks ago. I'd have got a better player, and now I've got to go with whatever's available in the last few hours of the window. And that's if they decide to release a bit of money. It's absolutely ridiculous. It is a disgrace. We are now waiting to see if the powers that be will release a bit of money for United to get a midfielder for Ten Hag. And the scary thing is, if they don't, we know what we face. And the scary thing is, if they do, there've been players available throughout the last few weeks that will be better than what's available now. So it's just, as I say, fail to prepare to fail. And that's where we're at. We just had an update that people want me to check on social media. I think it's going to be interesting. We'll obviously react to anything that happens, but there may be something that can happen. Sabitzer. Manchester United and Chelsea have both inquired about Sabitzer. Bayern in talks with the clubs. I mean, I'd love Sabitzer. I would love Sabitzer. I wanted him when he was at Leipzig a couple of years ago. I wouldn't mind that sort of a deal. And that's what I mean. That there may well be a diamond in the rough. There may well be a diamond in the rough. And you would still say, why is the money being released now? But at the end of the day, we need a player like that. You know, he's a risk. He is a risk. He's not done absolutely brilliantly at Bayern Munich, but I would really like it. I would really like it if we could do a deal like that. It would be very, very interesting. The fact that Chelsea are looking at him, why? I don't know. I don't know why Chelsea are looking at him. Chelsea would look at anything. What you need to do is just put a fake story out there and then let Chelsea buy that, and then they won't have time to go and get the one you really want. But Sabitzer is 28. Look, Sabitzer would suit. And you remember what I said? I said this. I'm doing my own I told you so. But remember, we've been talking about where Ten Hag will get players from. I have been saying this for a while. He would definitely bring a player in from the Bundesliga. This is, I know he's bought a lot in from the Eredivisie. I'm stunned he's not bought anybody from the Bundesliga yet, because he loves the Bundesliga. Obviously, he was reserve team coach at Bayern Munich, and he knows the Bundesliga really, really well. In some ways, Weghorst is a Bundesliga player because Ten Hag will know him from Wolfsburg. So I am not surprised. And I mean, I'd love to get Lehmer, but he's going to Bayern Munich, Derry. But I would like Sabitzer. He can play a number of roles. He's not a CDM, but he can play the deeper role like Eriksen. He can play the 8, and he can play more advanced. So he would be, he'd be a really good option. That sort of deal does excite me, but we've got to be wary here. I mean, we've spoken about Sabitzer over the years on the United stand when he was at Leipzig. In fact, there's probably a tweet out there where I said I think he could play CDM, and I got loads of shit for it. But I think he's a good player. I think the Bayern Munich move just didn't work as well as it could have done, because Bayern Munich have got good players. But, should we try for Gravenberch if we're talking to them? Yes, but maybe they don't want to let him go on loan. Sabitzer is the spirit of Rangnick. Well, the thing about Sabitzer is if you look at Leipzig and the way they play football, it is basically similar to the way that Ten Hag wants to play. Not exact, but they do want to be possession-based. They do want to be energetic. They do want to press. So it'd be an interesting player. If we can do that, and look, I'm not going to be negative about this. There is a problem. And if we don't solve that problem by 11 o'clock tonight, then it's a disgrace. But if we deal with this, and look, I think we've all got every right to say, you should have been dealing with this before today. But what did Fabrizio Romano say a week ago? Watch out for the final hours of the transfer window. And what did I say this morning? As much as everybody's writing it off, I'm still 50-50 because I just think they've got to do something. Now that that's happened with Eriksen, I just go back to, what we were discussing a few minutes ago. You've got 3 midfield starting positions in a Ten Hag system, and you've got 4 players. Casemiro, Fred, Bruno, and McTominay to back up all 3. It's not enough. Even with Sabitzer, you lose another one and it's weak. So, look, let's get excited that maybe we might do something late in the window. But remember, even if we did, we still don't have masses of cover in the midfield. With Eriksen out, we are a very thin squad. So we've got to do something. When Real Salt Lake City outspends United in January, says SK. I love OCD people who get concerned about misspellings. There you go. The title hadn't spelt Eriksen correct, but the video description did. So yeah, look, this is interesting. United in for Sabitzer. Let's have a look. I mean, look, also what you have to consider as well is Chelsea's name has been mentioned. Samuel Luckhurst has also said that Man United are making late inquiries to sign a midfielder on loan before the transfer window closes at 11. I think we will do. We remember we've also... Scott McTominay's also injured at the moment. I didn't realise that. So we've only got 2 fit central midfielders with Casemiro and Fred. I don't know what the injury is with McTominay. We have been linked to Carrasco. We have been linked to Rafinha. But I think the Sabitzer link is the most encouraging because he actually is a midfielder. So, yeah, we'll have to wait and see how that one develops. I think it's interesting. Check my phone. I do worry a little bit. About Chelsea's name being mentioned. Another one as well. Man United are now contacting several leading clubs around Europe to see whether they can bring in a midfielder before tonight's transfer deadline. Well, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens, isn't it? But look, I'm just looking around social media, and there's people, you know, fair play with their you know, sort of doing polls and stuff. Would you want Sabitzer at Manchester United? I mean, I wouldn't even do a poll. I like this player. I've always liked this player. I think this is the sort of player that if we were going for him in the summer, I'd be very excited. So there's no poll on Sabitzer. Trust me. This is if United can pull this off, that is a rabbit out the hat. A very good one. There's no guarantees, but there's no poll there. This ain't like, do you want Dele Alli? You know, this is Sabitzer. He's a player that suits the way that Ten Hag wants to play. You know, he's coming in from a club in Bayern Munich that has he'll have the mentality. I think as far as last few hours of the January transfer window goes, that's pretty much smile on your face time. Now, we've not done it, and he'd probably be wearing bloody Chelsea's blue in the next hour, but that is an encouraging link. Now, the thing is, you've got to make that deal happen, and anybody who's lived in a January transfer window deadline day will know you can go from Josh King to Rondon to Ighalo very, very quickly, because it's desperate now. And what's happening is United are ringing around. Desperately trying to do something, and that's not easy. Mark, can you just play midfield? We need options, says Lazy Parker. And Mark, are you going to do any transfer deadline show kind of thing? Looks like the next hours we'll have many United news, to be honest, as Imperial X. We are. We've got a show at 2. We've got a show at 4. We've got my 8 o'clock show, and obviously anything in between. So yeah, we've got loads of things going on the United stand today. Christian Falk has just put a tweet out as well. Let's have a look. Well, this is encouraging because it's Germany, and he is Bayern Munich. Christian Falk is German, and he is Bayern Munich. True, Manchester United and Bayern Munich are in talks about a transfer of Sabitzer. So there we go. Christian Falk is basically tapped into Bayern Munich and always has been. And he doesn't mention Chelsea. So there you go. Christian Falk has said it's true that Manchester United are in talks with Bayern Munich on a transfer for Sabitzer. No mention of Chelsea in that as well. So fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. It's not, it's not ideal what's happened to Eriksen, and I want to be respectful of that because I think he's a really important player. But needs must, and we have to act quick. And I like Sabitzer. I do. I think there's... I'm just going to check here. There may even be... Let's have a look. He types United stand Sabitzer into... YouTube. And... there is a video. United want Dembele and Sabitzer. Manchester United transfer news. And that was from over a year ago. And that must have been in the Rangnick days. Is there a date on that? We only just had 1 million subscribers. So that was probably 2 years ago. God, I look like shit. Let's have a look at this. Goldbridge, you needed a haircut and a shave. What were you doing? I don't know what date it was. It just says a year ago. And there's no date on the screen. 29th of March, 2021. Well, that's nearly 2 years ago. There you go. There you go. 2 years ago. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, by the way. Bottom right-hand corner. You're all very, very welcome on the United stand. We're going to be updating you throughout the day. I'll be seeing in the transfer window with you from about 8 o'clock tonight. It was under Ollie, yeah. It was under Ollie. But what's this Sabitzer story about? Well, it's coming from Germany. which is fantastic because he plays in Germany. So Plettigol and Christian Falk are both linking Manchester United to talks with Sabitzer, Bayern Munich, to come in the final hours of the transfer window. He's 28 years of age. He's been at Bayern for about 18 months, I think. Formerly of Leipzig, Austrian. It's a Rangnick signing, really. And yeah, I quite like it. I mean, imagine if this was a prelude to getting Rangnick in as director of football. But no, look, Sabitzer's a good player. And whether he can transform his form from Leipzig to the Premier League, obviously it's not been great in his time at Bayern. But as far as Christian Eriksen stopgaps go, that's pretty smile on your face time. I mean, that is pretty good. It's just a shame that United have to wait until the back end of a window to do something like this. You have to wait for a bad injury. I mean, imagine if Eriksen wasn't injured. You should be bringing a player like Sabitzer in anyway. That's what I mean. We never deliver what needs to be delivered. It's always just enough. Do you think Martinez is going to take Eriksen's position if no transfers get in, says Simon? Well, no, Martinez can't play attacking midfielder. What would the price tag be for Sabitzer? I think it would be a loan deal, as far as I'm aware. I don't think we'd have the money to do anything else. But Fabrizio Romano says Manchester United have approached Bayern for Sabitzer. Chelsea are focused on different players for now. Man United discussing potential terms with Bayern for Sabitzer after news on Christian Eriksen injury. Talks ongoing as per Plettigol. So that sort of rules Chelsea out. And some other breaking news. Erik ten Hag has revealed that Anthony Martial and Jadon Sancho could make a return to the matchday squad for Forest visit as well. So good, positive news coming out at last. Sabitzer, Martial and Sancho. That would be really positive. And I would suspect that and this is a quote from Ten Hag, I think tomorrow that Anthony Martial and Jadon Sancho will return in the game squad, but Scott McTominay will still be absent. So McTominay's injured. I don't know what the story is with Scott McTominay, but this Sabitzer story is it's a real positive. We deserve this. Ten Hag deserves this. The fans deserve this. And we deserve it as well. I'm just going to message someone and see if I can find something live on air. Well, it's been an interesting show. I've just tried to do Sabitzer and it's changed it to sanitizer. Joe Roberts, welcome to the Members Club. Thank you very much. I don't think Chelsea are in for him, Melps. I don't think Chelsea are in for him. I think it's United who are in for him and not Chelsea. Plettigol mentioned Chelsea. Christian Falk didn't. And Romano has said that Chelsea are looking at other things. Enzo Fernandez. So, yes, it would be very interesting. Let's just have a look at Sabitzer's stats this season. Because to be honest, he's a sort of, I knew a lot about him at Leipzig. But then it has, in honesty, gone a little bit south for him in his time at Bayern Munich. 28, as I said. He'll be 29 in March. So, not a different profile really to Eriksen. Centre midfield is his predominant position. Can play off the wing, but predominantly he plays off there. This season he's played 15 Bundesliga games, 1 goal and 1 assist. Obviously Austrian international. Played 6 games in the Champions League though, so he has had a role to play. Contract doesn't expire until 2025, so 2 years there. I wonder if Bayern will want some sort of. I'm just wondering whether Bayern will want some sort of loan to buy thing, maybe. Let's have a look. Predominantly this season he's played as they've got, apparently according to Who Scored, he's played 9 games as a defensive midfielder, 4 games as a midfielder off the left, and 2 games as a midfielder centre. So he's playing in a deeper role a little bit. But look, to be honest, he's got a good shot on him, and I'm not just going to read Who Scored. I'm going to tell you what I think now. I've closed it. What I like about Sabitzer is his energy. He's a tenacious energy press player, and his passing range is fantastic. Those are the 2 things that I would look at. And I think he brings... Look, I'm not saying he's better than Eriksen, because that's just disgusting. I'm not saying that. But I think what he does do that Eriksen doesn't do is I think he's more tenacious in the tackle. I think he's more physical in the tackle than Eriksen. For me, Eriksen is a converted 10 to an 8. For me, Sabitzer is more of an 8 who can play as a 10. I think he's got more physicality to his game. I think he can play deeper. What's his injury record, Mark? That's a bloody good question. I mean, I don't know. I've got no idea what it is, so let's have a quick look. Sabitzer, injury history. Okay. It is quite long. That's what she said. So, muscular problem, 5 days in May last year. Oh, he's not had anything since May last year. He's had a couple of calf problems. He had a knee injury. His shoulder injury is the biggest thing he's had. And that was in 18-19. He's had a few shoulder injuries, funnily enough. A couple of shoulder injuries. Bit of dental surgery. I mean, he had a couple of calf problems back in 2021. But they only kept him out for a month. So he's got quite a lot on his injury record, but there's nothing really massive. Marcel Sabitzer is on the verge of joining Manchester United. The midfielder did not train with the team today. Good news. So it looks like Man United have been looking at this deal for a bit. German transfer window closes in 4 hours, says Manmit. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Because we can buy a player from the Bundesliga at 11 o'clock tonight. So, doesn't matter. Anyway, we're back at 2 o'clock anyway. We've got a 2 o'clock show, so I'm going to love you and leave you and go and get something to eat. But we're back at 2 o'clock where we'll have more updates on Sabitzer. And obviously, if and when he signs, we'll react to that as well. But very exciting news at the end of what was a very negative start with the Eriksen injury. And you know what? If United can pull this off, at least they've done something at the end. They should have been doing stuff for the last 30 days, but at least they've done something at the end. And as far as replacements for Eriksen go, Sabitzer's pretty much bang on the money. I'll speak to you all in a little bit. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe, get your notifications on. Could be a busy afternoon.